around by YouTube. Charles here. This review is going to be a little bit late. I thought that I had made a review of it already. It's one of my favorite books. I am talking about Gunslinger Spawn number 42 from Image Comics. This is a fun series if you're not familiar with it. I think it's unique in that it presents Spawn in a whole new way that new readers are not used to. Right now, Spawn, I believe, is at number 365. And so there's a lot of lore and characters and, pretty much this world building that has been done that it's impossible to catch up on. Where if you're meeting a character new to the Spawn experience, that you would get introduced as if maybe in Spawn number one. But what this does is it not only takes the position of Spawn that we haven't been really following, but a Spawn literally taken from the 1800s, sucked through into the present time. And so Gunslinger Spawn is not only still figuring out his powers and bringing us along for that ride, but he's also trying to navigate going from the 1800s to now dealing with stuff that's mystifying, like televisions and modern cars. And so it's a very, very fun way to get into Spawn on that premise alone. And right now, there's so many plates spinning. Of course, it's tied into the main Spawn series, which is currently the Hell Hath Risen arc, where Hell is trying to take over Earth and Heaven. And all of the Spawns and angels are working together to stop Nyx, the ruler of Hell, from enacting her plan. And she was actually made ruler of Hell in number 350, where the war for Hell's throne ended. Al Simmons had won the war but installed Nyx, not knowing that the power of the throne would corrupt her. I know it's a lot to get through. I'm just giving you some basic stuff, get that out of the way, let you know where we are now. And so when Spawn was sucked through time, he inhabited the body of Javier. But what he didn't realize was Javier's importance. Javier wasn't just some guy. He was the son of a Colombian cartel leader who has sway over the Colombian government. And so really when he ended up killing Javier and inhabiting his body, he created an international conflict between the United States and Colombia. And his whole plan was to take revenge on the person that harmed his sister. It's not clear yet if she was murdered, if she was kidnapped, what's going on. But when he found this person who was still living, I'm assuming via magic somehow, but still alive from the 1800s, he's got his revenge. But the unintended quality of that is that this person who has been, doing evil for decades was known as a respected businessman and banker. And so it wasn't seen as Gunslinger Spawn getting revenge for something that was happening in the 1800s. It looks like a madman in a Spawn cowboy costume shot a banker. And so he ended up getting arrested, and the transport was attacked by an angel called Godsend, who was trying to break Spawn out to help him find, you have to go back through and read it. But it's a whole thing. But what they didn't know is that behind the scenes in all of this, the U.S. government was working with Colombia on a trade for three Americans held hostage in Colombia for Javier. Now Javier's in the wind. And so you have not only, what's going on with the war between heaven and hell, but between Colombia and America. So many moving plates. I don't see how Todd McFarlane keeps them all spinning in sync, but he does. And in this issue, him and Godson and a rogue angel are trying to find, get information on his family, Godson's family that's been taken or missing or whatever. So they're reluctantly working together, and Godson tracks down somebody who may have information who is an old man with his cat here. But we find out that this old man is not as old and frail as we think. He is an undercover kind of sleeper agent who is a very powerful angel. And we end with the cliffhanger of them squaring off with this angel and his cat, which turns out to be, some kind of, I don't even know what you would call that. And so I think that this is a great way to get introduced to the Spawn lore, what spawns are, how they work, and to see it from fresh, naive eyes as Gunslinger Spawn does. And the great thing about these books is, like I said, this issue was only $2.99, and that Farland are always going to keep their prices a little bit lower than the norm on the Spawn series because that is what got Image Comics going. It's Todd McFarlane's baby, and so it's he always keeps the books affordable, and since his hand is still very much involved in the process, you get consistency. He actually wrote the script and plot for this, so his hand is still very much on the wheel of this property. So check out the local comic book store, and I'll see you next time. Until then, keep reading them books. I'm out.